One. All right, here we go.
We're live.
We are live.
Oh,
All right.
Wing. Thank you guys who are joining us as you guys come in as we start. I'm John Cooper of Counterpoint Politics, as you know, joined by my co-host TJ. Power is taken, not given. And Ryan Howes, whose screen name isn't on the screen, and I'm completely forgetting it off the top of my head. Remind me what your screen name is, Ryan.
It's IDEF Overthink. IDEFF Overthink.
I like that. IDEF Overthink. Good.
So, we're going to be talking about a bunch of good topics today. TJ, what are the topics for today?
Well, today our topics are, first, it's going to be people who definitely don't overthink, and that's going to be the Republican Party with Mike Johnson. Oh, no, we lost.
We lost Ryan.
Oh, no.
We'll chit-chat.
We'll get her back in. I'm sure it's just technical difficulty, folks. And we got to talking about President Joe Biden made an appearance on Univision. We'll be discussing Israel, and they're pulling their troops out of Gaza. RFK Jr. had a staffer who announced that basically that they're in the pocket to try to get Trump elected. And the Arizona abortion law, which is my favorite topic on the list. I think that's going to be pretty fun to cover because talks about how dumb the Republican Party is. And he has risen. Ryan is back.
I have no idea what. Yeah, apologize for that.
It's all good. It's all good.
Jim dropped it. Technology,
people, the live television. What can you do about it? All right, so let's just jump right into our first topic this week, and that is Republicans and how they're dumb. We cover this topic a lot on this show, but the specific instance here. So there's this, common criticism that people on the left launch at Republicans, and it's that they are an opposition party that doesn't know how to govern. They are constantly trying to stop things from happening, but they really aren't very competent, and they're pretty darn competent at that. And they're pretty darn competent at getting tax cuts. Other than that, there's not too much they're competent at, including just general leadership and governance. And don't take my word for it. This is coming directly from congressional Republicans. If you guys have been following the GOP House at all, which, first of all, I apologize if you've been doing that. It's pretty rough. But it has been kind of a mess. They, as you probably know, Kevin McCarthy used to be the speaker. He got ousted by the right-wing contingent, the Freedom Caucus, as they call themselves, headed by the likes of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, or Gates, or however you pronounce that pedophile's name. But the controversy happening now is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is pushing to do the same thing to current Speaker Mike Johnson. And she's doing it over the Ukraine funding. She doesn't want to send any more funding to Ukraine, and is saying that if the Republicans do that, she will set forward a motion to remove Mike Johnson from his speakership position. The interesting thing about this is that, as I mentioned, all of the Republicans are basically just admitting that no one can do the job. I'll put this on the screen here, the quotes from the Republican Party, which are just absolutely wonderful.
These should be good.
It's incredible. This is an article from Axios that we have up here now. But I love this one. I don't see who can do a better job. I don't see who could get the votes needed to become speaker and then effectively lead, says Republican Mark Alford, saying that
love it.
Johnson would be a fool's errand. And we have Troy Nell saying he's not in favor of getting rid of Johnson because nobody wants the job. Who wants the job, and who could even do the job? And and as Johnson said, it would be almost a hopeless position. So we basically have House Republicans just admitting the thing we've been accusing them of, right? Like, they're just admitting that they don't know how to lead, don't know how to govern, and yet they're still a major party in this country. It is kind of mind-blowing. How do you guys think, TJ, if you're like just a standard milquetoast Republican, what do you think about this right now? Are you like, I'm upset with my leadership, or are you not care?
So the first thing I want to address that, if I were a standard milquetoast Republican, is that that is a dwindling set of people. Like it's almost impossible to be just like a standard boring ass Republican who's only interested in, tax cuts and just, moderate social shit. That those people don't really exist anymore. Everyone's been supercharged into this, weird QAnon type of Republican, and the constituency is being reflected in the House and the Senate and in state houses across the country, and most importantly in judges and in district courts and the Supreme Court in the United States. So these people are upset though, and like other Republicans, they are old as fuck. But I wanted to point out a few of them. Well, first, you mentioned Kevin McCarthy, and Kevin McCarthy throwing around is like, well, the only reason I was removed from my job is because, there was someone in the Republican Congress.
I'm not going to say who. It could be anyone.
TJ, you took my point. I wanted to laugh about that for 5 minutes.
No. Right, you're our guest, Ryan. Please explain to our audience why Kevin McCarthy is out.
So Matt Gaetz, it's almost like a rap beef like level of like nodding towards who it is, but I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm just going to describe the situation like as explicitly as possible. So it was a congressman on the right flank that got accused of an assault charge or something like that with a minor that was 17 or not. Maybe. And definitely a man in the right flank. And it's like there's only 3 of them. And we know the one that you're talking about. So it was him, right? It was Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz got accused of all of this.
I will give this to the Republican Party. I'm proud of them that narrowed it down enough for us to be able to
true.
It was.
Yeah.
That's not always the
Good
case.
Point. Good point.
Yeah.
Specific.
And what happened was that apparently the ethics committee was coming around to do their interviews to, I guess, understand whether or not that he should be censured or taken out or whatever was going to happen to him. And Matt Gaetz had allegedly asked Kevin McCarthy to make that go away. And he said that he wasn't going to make that go away, and then they made him go away. So that is the allegation here, which, I don't know, they're petty. This feels like exactly what would happen, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, she's not just saying that she's going to call for a vote if they vote for the Ukraine aid. She's saying if he even brings it to a vote, not if it passes, but if he even brings it to a vote, if he even begins to talk about it, then they said that she's gonna try to bring it to a vote. But honestly, I think, and I kind of want your guys' opinion on it, I honestly think that if it did happen, I think the Democrats would save them. I kind of
really.
I kind of think that they would.
Before I came on the show, I was watching a clip from Kevin McCarthy speaking on C-SPAN, and it cut off before he explained why. But he said that he thought the Democrats would save Mike Johnson too, and I really wish it didn't cut off, and I could not find what he said. But I do think there are suspicions that the Democrats would save Mike Johnson, although I really can't even imagine why they would do it. The deal that Mike Johnson would have to cut them would have to be immense.
That's why. That's why. Because I think that they would rather have an inside man in their pocket than their own that gets blocked at every turn.
Yeah.
So you keep a patsy Republican up there that the Republicans are going to look, they're going to look stupid if they don't go along with him. They're going to be breaking code because Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love, that whole thing. So keep a Republican that the Democrats can keep under their thumb the entire time in there. I think that they would, because he's only bringing this up because the Democrats are asking him to bring up the Ukraine aid. He's been blocking it, and then he's finally like, well, you know what, maybe. Now that I have the position, I think what happened was when he got the position and saw what he had to do, he was like, "Oh shit!"
Yes, that is
actually have to do stuff.
What happened. Yeah, that's 1,000% what happened. Is that Republicans are children, like they see their parents spending their money on, bread and milk and, the lunch meat. And like, why can't you just buy ice cream and video games? And then the Republicans get in charge like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like there's a system that has to work. Government has to function. I know that we've spent our entire livelihood, our whole life just saying that government shouldn't exist and that, we're here to obstruct at every turn. But turns out real life isn't like that. And Kevin McCarthy, that was so glad. Yeah, Ryan, you thought that up too, because Kevin was so funny watching him say that. I think he even brought up the fact that this mystery man, that he had a buddy who also went to jail for assaulting a minor. Like, I think he brought that up too. Yeah, I was like, okay. In case you guys weren't sure who we were talking about so far, it's definitely Matt Gaetz. And one thing I think the problem with Mike Johnson is that I thought of this just now, is that Republicans have a long storied history of weird named people. Like you had like Newt Gingrich, and you have Mitt Romney and Reince Priebus. So like people who have names like they belong in like a Star Wars movie or something like really, really bizarre names. And then you got Mike Johnson. Like, buddy, you're not cut out for the job. Your name isn't weird enough. But I want to share this, because we were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. So before you hopped on, Ryan, John and I were talking about, I don't even actually remember what you said, John, but you were talking about just asking questions. You say something about that?
Yeah. I'm just asking the type of people. They're not right wing, they're just asking questions.
Completely.
All right. So yeah, just asking questions. So I have Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm about to share her on the stage here, and she does just a master class, like just a gold medal Hall of Fame, just asking questions thing at the end of this speech where she's tearing down Mike Johnson. I'm going to check it out.
Completely changed his character in a matter of about 5 months after he has become Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson is a Christian. He called himself a conservative, always has been. He's a Republican member, but yet here we are after the minibus was passed just almost 2 weeks ago in Washington. And now with the $60 billion going to a war in Ukraine that 70% of Americans do not support it. That's the most recent polling. 70% of Americans and the majority of Republicans do not support funding Ukraine. People want to see a peace deal in Ukraine, not murdering more Ukrainians and more Russians. This needs to end. But no, Mike Johnson has made a complete departure of who he is and what he stands for. And to the point where people are literally asking, is he blackmailed? What is wrong with him? Because he's completely disconnected with what we want.
Do you think he is being blackmailed?
I have no idea. I can't comprehend, Tucker, what radically changes a man. I mean, if we break down this, has completely changed his character.
I love it. I love that so much. She's like, listen, Mike Johnson was just like me, 6 months ago. Now he's in a position of power and he's doing all this responsible shit. You got to wonder, is he being blackmailed? And then Tucker Carlson, I think, was caught off guard by that because he was like, oh my God, is he? Do you think he's being blackmailed? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Why are you asking a little old me a question like that? So, this is
just asking questions.
Just exactly. I saw that. I was like, you've got to be shitting me. It's like once again, we've said it a dozen times this segment, but it is not a serious party. Like, these are not serious people, and just like it has been. It is to Joe Biden's undying shame that he isn't, crushing Trump by 30 points in every poll, that every Republican, any Republican, honestly, across the country, the polls are looking really bad for Republicans. A lot of them are losing by, 6-8 points in winnable districts. So it should be more, though, because you see this shit and it's like come on, like no one's going to really support this. So, like, no normal people are going to go out of their way, like get out of bed to vote for Republicans after seeing shit like this. Cause like they're not a serious party. And I enjoy laughing at them.
Ryan, we're pretty staunch on this show. We have a very, very firm opinion at this point about what we believe is going to happen over the next 6 months. And that is essentially that Biden is going to run a decently close race, but the more Trump gets his mouth in front of people and the more crimes he gets convicted of, the more impossible it's going to be for him to win.
And the more, we'll get to it later, but the more abortion stuff comes up.
And the more abortion stuff comes up, and we're going to be talking about the Arizona case a little bit later. But we're pretty staunch that there's no way Biden loses. and if he does, Trump is going to be the only Republican to win because Republicans are going to get smashed across the entire ballot on the abortion issue. That is our stance. What do you think about? Are you similar, or do you think differently?
I think it's. I want to say like. I want to believe that 1,000%, but I'm still like having like flashbacks of 2016 and like I start shaking and my hands start to sweat and I'm like, oh no. I remember I was sitting in a bar and I was just watching the news and everybody just got quieter and sadder around me and it was a really bad time. So I never really put anything past people who vote for Trump. They vote for Trump for all the reasons that you think that are pejorative or not, and they seemingly love him. But I also think that Biden is I've had this complete conspircy.
Ooh.
I have no evidence of this.
You
I
come
feel
to
like
place, my friend.
I feel like a lot of the Democrats, especially the Fed Democrats, are almost losing on purpose. Like, I don't want to say they're losing on purpose, but they are missing softball pitches. Like, we'll talk about it in a second, but even just like the abortion thing, somebody asked Biden a point blank question, softball issue. Are you going to do something about this or take a stand on it? And he said, vote for me and you'll find out.
Oh,
softball, man, come on, just say yes. Trump said yes, and that's the part that scares me. Is Trump flat out said, I will get rid of it when I'm president. That is the kind of thing that people that people I mean, we knew the demographics of who votes for Trump that are going to listen to and go, well, at least he said that he'll do it. And it's like, Biden, just please have a spot. Just do something. Just do something except for helping out your buddies. Just do anything.
It's like everyone has had this dream where like they either can't walk or can't move or can't talk, and like there's something terrible going on. They have to tell an authority figure. You gotta tell your mom about the aliens that are coming, but suddenly you can't talk anymore, and it's like terrifying. That's what I feel like watching the Democrats fight the Republicans. Like the Republicans are a bunch of children with wet pool noodles, and they can't even defeat them. It's insane that like these are the people who are leading the most powerful country on earth, and they're completely incompetent. And even the more competent side, you can't even argue is very competent because they're in competitive races with children. And they're children. They are acting like children. They are acting like a bunch of high schoolers. Like everyone recognizes. Like you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and you're like, I know exactly who she was in high school. I would bet my entire life savings. I know exactly the kind of person she was in high school. She's that annoying woman at the homeowners association. Everyone hates her. Like everyone hates that woman except for that woman. And there's no way there's that much of that type of person in this country that she is fucking running it. It blows my mind. Like when there's certain types of people and you're like, how do you not flag that as immediately a bad person?
I do like that this is the type of person that's come to represent the Republicans though. And that's what's already is like Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene,
realistic. Yeah.
Lauren Boebert, just like the most obnoxious people you can think of, whether you agree with them or not. It's like, I'll vote for Lauren Boebert. I would hate to like have her in my neighborhood. It would just be a complete train wreck every day. And to what both of you guys are talking about with Joe Biden, the example that Ryan brought up is saying, hey, this abortion issue is pretty important. Can you give us a strong statement on it? What gets me about this is that Joe Biden has been in politics for 60 years now. And he doesn't even have the goddamn decency to lie. I mean, like, that's half your job as a politician. I mean, it's the first thing you learn when you go to, Congress school or whatever. It's like, just fucking lie. Like, lie to get the votes and then do whatever you need to after you win. Like, you could still do that, Joe Biden. You could just lie and say, I'm going to do something. Oh, my hands are tied right now. Now, it's not going to fool us, but it's going to fool enough voters to help you get over the hump here. I don't know. That part that gets me too, because like,
you think your opponent is going to run a fair campaign and isn't going to lie?
You're running against Donald Trump, man. And this actually goes back like 10 minutes when we first started here. But you guys are talking about we were talking about the ethics campaign, the ethics commission that was looking into Matt Gaetz. And it's always funny to me whenever a congressman is trying to weasel out of an ethics investigation and stuff, because congressmen, like, you know how bad you got to be for Congress to find you guilty of an ethics violation? Like, you really got to fuck up. Like, George Santos was the first congressman kicked out in like 100 years or something. And Bob Menendez was charged with corruption twice in the last 15 years. You've really got to go out of your way. So that's how you know Gaetz is guilty. I mean, well, that's how I assume that Gaetz is guilty.
Allegedly.
Cover my ass on that one right there. But yeah, it is a wild story watching the Republicans. I can't get enough of it. It's like, it's just a reality show that is actually important. That's the sad part, that it actually does, have some effect on our lives.
The thing you said there that I'll disagree with, TJ, is that why doesn't Biden just lie? And it's like, he does lie all the time. And what we're going to talk about in our next video that'll come out tomorrow is how he manipulates those lies and is willing to lie about certain things, but for some reason isn't willing to lie about others. And newsflash, when he's lying for effect, it's usually to do something horrible. So stay tuned, like and subscribe so you know when that video comes out.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Cool. All right. So Ryan, how'd you like your first episode of The Left Wing?
Great. I'm having a blast.
Good stuff.
You slipped right in there. I saw Liz is in the comments, so shout out Liz.
I don't know what she's referencing. She wrote, "They really do."
Yeah, they really do. I don't remember when she said that.
Liz, if you're still here, let us know.
Yeah, Liz, let us know what they really do.
Oh, by the way. Oh, never mind. But yeah, the Biden thing. I can't wait to get into that. Are you going to go to the Univision one next, John? Is that what you're? Oh yeah,
go to that. Yeah,
it's true because you're right. He does lie. He seems to have no problem with that. Just not. He just doesn't do it well. He just doesn't do it well. That's disappointing.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, at the end of the last episode, I alluded to a little fibbage from Biden, how he will lie about some things, but not others. And we have our recurring guest here, Liz, is in our comments section. We're doing this show live now for people who don't know. You know what? Screw it. Fuck it. We're just going to talk to Liz for a second.
We'll start the clip.
You said Republicans have weird names. They do.
The most important thing we talked about that segment. I'm glad she the weird ass names the Republicans have.
Oh my god.
Someone, it's like that meme that someone put as like, there was like, sometime 70 years ago, a woman went to the hospital. She gave birth to a newborn baby, the most beautiful thing in human existence, and named it Newt fucking Gingrich. Like that, what's going on here? But yeah, that's wild shit, man. The Republicans, they've mastered the weird names. They really have.
That's what I always think about whenever I watch the original James Bond, the first James Bond movie, where it's like there's a character named Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore.
And I always just think, so you're telling me in the fictional universe of James Bond, there's a Mr. and Mrs. Galore out there who decided to name their child Pussy.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's just weird. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
all right.
Good shit.
Yeah, weird names. I'm glad I have a normal name like John. But okay. We'll go.
Action.
So, as I alluded to in yesterday's episode, Joe Biden is playing a little bit fast and loose because he plays this character that he wants to play it straight. He wants to do the right thing. He wants to stand up for democratic values and institutions. If the parliamentarian says we can't do it, well, gosh darn it, I know I have the power to override him, but I believe in our democratic institutions. Except, for when he wants to stop asylum seekers from coming into America. He was on an interview at Univision very recently, and he was explaining what he would like to do at the border, and that he is looking to implement executive action to prevent asylum seekers from crossing the border and claiming asylum. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about asylum law and international law. I'm not an expert. But I do know that it has always been perfectly legal for asylum seekers to come here. And many human rights organizations have criticized the Trump administration when he tried to stop that from happening as being, anti-human, essentially. We talked recently about the proposal that he made on immigration and the border, which still hasn't gone through Congress because of a bunch of connivery. That was called draconian and antithetical to human rights by the Amnesty International. So it's just to put into perspective that this isn't normal executive action on the border that he's looking to take. He's looking to basically just do unprecedented harm to the very, very powerful people in our society called asylum seekers. And I'm just what I really wanted to do here is I wanted to pop up the quotes that he said on this interview, because it basically reads like a wish list of everything that we've wanted him to say about every other issue. So he says this quote here. He says, we're examining whether or not I have that power. Some suggest that I should go ahead and just try it. And if I get shut down by court, I get shut down by court. And I remember making this exact argument about student loans, about how, it's kind of up for debate whether or not he could just cancel all of them with an executive action stroke of the pen. And he should just do it and let the courts tell him no. He should just do all of these things that he knows would improve American lives and make the courts tell him no, because there's no consequence for doing so. And I've been told by liberals that would be undemocratic. That would be very bad of him to do. But I don't hear them complaining that he intends to do this, to do something that literally Trump wanted to do. He's doing something that is farther right than even Donald Trump. And I don't see any pushback. I wonder why that is. Ryan, tell me, what did you, when you were reading this article, reading up on this topic, what were your thoughts? Because I was just having pure rage.
I thought exactly the same thing. This is why we can't have nice things, is because you are doing everything we didn't ask for, and nothing that we did ask for. And I don't understand where his ideology is, and it's just really telling to me that he's getting so much support from the right, and I think that's his strategy, because he knows that he's pissed the left off, maybe irreversibly. So he's just pandering to the right. That's what this feels like. It feels like pandering to do something that even he can't even keep his lie straight. He can't even handle the softball that they want to hear. Are you going to shut down the border? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. Who knows if I got the power? Guess you'll just have to vote for me and find out. And it's like, are you doing that to both sides? The vote for me and find out. We'll see what's behind door number 3. That's not going to work. People are eventually just going to go or try to go with the sure thing, and people aren't talking about the fact that he's losing in the polls in battleground states, especially among minority voters. But whatever. You know what? Let's just shut down the border to make sure we got everybody. We're already pissing off the black community. They're saying that they're not going to vote for you. Let's go for the trifecta and just hit every minority group that we possibly can. I don't understand his logic. I was more confused than I was even mad. I'm just reading it, just what is happening? This old man.
Yeah,
Ryan, you're right that how is that tactic going to win? Just vote for me and find out. The only way it will is if your opponent says, vote for me and I'll be a dictator. Luckily for Biden, that is the situation that we're in. TJ, what did you think?
Yeah, it is lucky for Biden and it's terrible for everybody else. But you're right. We've Ryan, you touched on something that we talk about a lot, is that it seems like Trump and Biden have this perverse Book of Job style bet going on who can piss off their constituents more and just be more incompetent of more and more and more. Just we're gonna make as many people mad as possible and then see who comes out on top. This is just something that happens all the time. And John, what you brought up with Biden talking about how the asylum thing is really good, because like this is an issue that once again, I hate to just keep going back to the low hanging fruit of Republicans being idiots, but they literally don't understand what asylum is. They don't, because to them, seeking asylum is the same as illegal immigration. There's no difference to them. They is like, not the fact that you bring up that the asylum process is agreed on international law that we signed and agreed to participate in, and you can't just ignore that. That's just not something you can do. It's like, no, fuck it, we should do it anyway. That's how they think about it. And when you talked about the student loan debt, yes, where Biden should have just taken it to court. This is what I've been saying about the marijuana legalization.
That's where I was about to go, TJ.
I've been saying it
it's
for
another
years
simple
now.
One.
Yes, it's because I still remember.
Easy win too. Like,
I think, I don't know, did I come on the show when this happened as a guest? Because I still remember what Biden said, where he went out in public and he said that marijuana is classified as a Schedule I drug, which is the same classification as heroin. And I think it's ridiculous to say that marijuana is just as dangerous as heroin. We need to change this. So I am asking the Secretary of Health and Human Services to initiate a process to review how marijuana is scheduled. And everyone's all clapping. Oh, great job, Joe. I said, folks, this is a canard. Like, listen to what he said. He isn't directing.
I'm asking my barber to ask his cousin, to ask his roommate for permission to maybe change this one day in the future.
Right. It's been 2.5 years since he did that. And I was like, folks, this is not getting anywhere. There was some movement on it earlier this year, and now the review was complete. Took 2 years. Although he said it was obvious that marijuana is not as dangerous as heroin, it took 2 years to actually prove this, apparently. And they said, well, we got our conclusions and we sent it to the DEA. It's their decision if they want to lower the schedule or not. And it has been lowered. Like, of course it's not. But another thing is the parliamentarian, which is, once again, like, I've done nothing but eat, sleep, and breathe politics since I was like 13 years old, and I've never heard of the parliamentarian. I've never heard of them until this term in Congress. And Ryan, a long time ago now, I feel like it's been like 2 months since we did this, but John and I came up with this hilarious idea for a TV show or something in which the Constitution didn't change how presidents were elected since the nation first started, because back then the president got the most votes and the vice president was the guy who got the second vote. So we'd have Vice President Trump and President Biden, and how hilarious this TV show would have been. And I was thinking about it today, John. For some reason, I was just thinking about it. And that this would mean, so the vice president is the president of the Senate. They don't usually do it, but they can if they want to flex their muscle, whatever. Like, for example, the parliamentarian. So back in the George W. Bush era, the parliamentarian didn't agree with the Republicans. Dick Cheney just fired him. Just fire the parliamentarian and put in whoever he wanted. That's what Donald Trump will be doing right now. Donald Trump, because like it's a close Senate, he can break a few ties or two, and the parliamentarian makes all the rules. And the Democrats just go along with like, well, those are the rules. What are we gonna do? We kind of gotta just match up with it. But yeah, it's political malpractice that Biden's acting like this. But I mean, unfortunately, that's what we've gotten used to. And that's actually makes it weird because he's been in this game a long time. I don't know why he's not better at it. I guess he did make it to the presidency. You got to be pretty good at it. But it's like you'd think he'd be.
Counterpoint, TJ. So did Donald Trump.
So did Donald Trump. True.
It's very true.
Our lesson, becoming president, easier than we thought. That's easier than we thought.
so Ryan, so I don't know what your stance is on immigration, but I personally am an open borders advocate. And I always just say, why doesn't Biden just go, like, these people on the right he's trying to court are never going to ever vote for him. And he's just moving that way for shits and gigs. I think it's because he personally wants to. I think that he personally is anti-immigration, because what other way could you describe him moving to the right of Donald Trump on this issue? And to me, it's like, if they're going to they're still saying he has open borders. Like, even now with him doing all of this, he's still being accused of having open borders. So why not just do it? Why not just go all the way far left? what is the possible consequence of doing it? Ryan, maybe you don't like open borders, but you understand my gist here.
No. I understand what you're saying, and I am for open borders. I think that they're imaginary lines, except for the northern border with Canada. I found out recently that it's a literal line. Like they drew a line through all the forests and stuff. Look that up. That's crazy. They cut a 15-foot wide line across the top of the border.
Taxpayer money.
It looks really weird too. If you Google it, it looks really weird to see it. Yeah, you're right.
It's insane. And I also want to point out that a lot of it is just through forest. So, anybody could walk and there's no fences or guards or anything up there. I don't know if that's important, but it just feels like the larger of the two borders. There's zero protection on that one. But we have a border problem. It doesn't feel like it's a border problem when it sounds like a people problem. But yeah, I'm for open borders. I think that they're imaginary lines. And I think it's easy to say something like, oh, it's a shift in the Overton window, right? Like we are slowly always moving to the right. Like the United States, like on a big graph, you would say we lean more towards the right anyway. So like our liberals don't even really fall into the liberal side of things. A lot of times they end up being like more towards the right, center right, or something like that. But I think honestly, I think Biden is at a point right now where I think we're listening to a swan song. I think we're watching people throw spaghetti at the wall. I think he legitimately is trying anything that he can to score a couple votes, because I think that he thinks that if he can lose, which I do believe this, if he does lose, it's going to be incredibly close. And I think that's what they think is going to happen. I think that they think that if at all he's going to lose, he's either going to win by a landslide, or it's going to be, or it's going to be like 100,000 people. Like there will be no in between. It's not going to be like a healthy race and you go, oh, okay, well he's definitely going to win. It's going to be a nail biter, or it's not. And he's losing a lot of ground in battleground states right now. And I think that's why he's throwing these weird Hail Marys that are going to piss us off. But I think he's kind of like with the leftists. I think I fucked it up with Gaza. Like I think he thinks he messed up a lot, so he's not even trying to court us anymore, because we're just gonna go. The Palestine, we haven't forgotten, bro. Like we haven't forgotten about that. Don't talk to us about anything else except you when you deal with that. So he's like, I don't have any messaging for them. And like I think he's eating up. I think for a fact he's not going to handle or deal with the Arizona thing until after November. I don't think that he would even touch it. I think he's going to use it as a carrot on a stick, saying, I will handle this if you vote for me. If you vote for me, I'll handle it. And then the day after the election, he'll sign an executive order and then go fight in court about it again.
I mean, that's what he should. I actually say that's what he should do. But DJ, I mean, that makes sense to me.
With the Arizona thing, he won't have to. I'll go over it in there's the section on that, because like they've already got a pretty good plan for that. But I want to talk about something you mentioned, Ryan, about how kind of weird that we have armed guards and moats full of alligators for the Mexican border, but nothing at all for the Canadian border. And I wanted to show this. I saw this image just today, and it's this is a map that shows the countries that don't require that you can get into the U.S. without a visa versus countries that you need a visa to get into the U.S. with. The countries that can get in are in blue. So I don't know if you want to notice a pattern here in the countries that require that you can get in without a visa and countries that require a visa. But I don't know. It's little on the nose, I think, that they kind of like put it out there that simply. But I guess there's Japan. And Japan and South Korea. Those are like the lone exceptions, but certainly not like, China.
Wait, what is it? It looks like there's right there. What is that?
That's Taiwan.
Is that Taiwan? Okay.
Yeah, Taiwan. Yeah. So, welcome to geography class, folks. We're going to be going over different stuff. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty.
I love that Argentina is the one in South America.
Well, that's not terribly surprising, yeah. Given Argentina's, if
Well,
you
I
ever,
mean, you know who's there.
exactly,
Oh
exactly.
no! He
Yeah,
had to get to the moon. Okay.
they had to get to the moon. We had to bring over. It's never ask
TJ.
like an Argentinian guy why he has a German last name, and never ask why there are like no black people anymore in Argentina. It's a horrible story on that. It's not an accident. I want to put it that way. But that's pretty fascinating. I just want to add that to the story here.
It is incredible. Like, I was looking for like the one like exception to prove the rule, and there wasn't even an exception. Like, it was like I was looking for it, and it just is just entirely on the nose. Speaking though of how not so subtly racist the United States, and specifically Joe Biden, could be. TJ, can you put up that last quote from narrator? So I hadn't heard this before, and I looked it up, and it is true. Joe Biden, crime bill Biden, Joe Biden literally called Obama the first good-looking, articulate black man. This is fact checked by Yahoo News, and he said this back in 2007. He said, quote, "I mean, you got your first sort of mainstream African American who's articulate and bright and clean and nice looking guy." And so it's just like you see and when people talk about like Joe Biden's age, and they're like, "Oh, well, he can be a functioning person at that age." I'm like, even if he was a fully mentally healthy person of that age, he's clearly not fit. His entire mindset is not fit to mesh with Americans now. He's a guy who thinks back in 2007 that's a reasonable thing to say about his own fucking running mate. So, like, how do you expect this guy to be with it? He's 80. He's old. Like,
so first off, John, you did not have to check Yahoo News. You could just check with the resident old person who will let you know. I remember that very clearly. And he said it before. If I remember correctly, he said it before he was the running mate. Like he said that, if I remember correctly,
and he still got the job.
He still got the job. Well, see, it actually
white men piling upwards.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the time, I think Biden was still running against Obama, and then like it actually is why Biden was put on the ticket. He was put on the ticket to assuage the fears of the more conservative, racist Democrats, because
put the crime bill guy on there, the anti-busing guy. We'll put it.
Yeah, the anti-busing guy. Yeah.
That's right.
But it's like, oh, don't worry, he's Democrat. It's just a guy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and this is like what you said, John, is that it doesn't matter if Biden is like overall a well-meaning, cool guy. If this well-meaning, cool guy was born in 1938 or whenever he was born or something like that, like Biden isn't even a boomer. He's silent generation. He's pre-boomer. Like, if that's how old Joe Biden is. And this is another thing you guys get fact checking on. Joe Biden was born, his birthday is closer to Abe Lincoln's inauguration than his own inauguration. Like, that's how old Joe Biden is. And so right now, we're pretty cool. We think we're progressive and everything. 100 years from now, we are not cool dudes. We are not. We are going to be, we're going to have some pretty problematic opinions. And maybe if we're around, we shouldn't be in charge. So yeah, like the age thing is important. It's not the only thing, but it does play a big part when you're, trying to rule or govern a nation. Good stuff.
That is our cool. Narrator said Biden was born before interstate highways.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Trump would have been too.
Biden was born in 42.
42. Okay, all right. Yeah, so it's off by a few years, whatever. Because interstates didn't come until Eisenhower, who was in like the 50s, and so it's
that's insane.
The only way, by the way, that Eisenhower was able to sell the only way that they could sell the interstate to Eisenhower and the government was as a national defense measure. Because they're like, hey, this would be great for the people to be able to travel. I was like, oh, that's great. So, well, listen, we could include like every few miles or something, there has to be completely like a straight and narrow interstate, so a plane can land on it in case like war breaks out or something like that. And that's how they sold it to the United States. You know, because like, we could use it as a war measure. I cussed out Eisenhower stuck in traffic. Good shit. Good shit.
Damn you, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
When Eisenhower was in, I think, Italy during World War II, he fell in love with his truck driver. Like he had like some soldier, she was driving his Jeep, and that's not a euphemism. Like she was literally driving a vehicle. And he wrote a letter to the president saying that, yeah, like I've fallen in love. I think I want to, retire here. They're like, no, you can't retire. We are fighting World War II. Get the fuck back to work. It's one of my favorite Eisenhower stories that he tried to give it all up for love, and they wouldn't let him. All right, let's go. Let's talk about. I got a message from John earlier today, Ryan. He said that you wanted to talk about Israel and them pulling troops out of Gaza. What did you see about that?
Well, I just recently, let me pull it back up. So
were you grounding it? Were you? Is that what it did?
I have a bunch of different sources up. Because I want to be able to say stuff right. I want to know what I'm doing. But they pulled out of Gaza, they pulled out some of the troops out of Gaza, not because Syria said that they were gonna do that they were gonna attack them if they didn't. That's not why. Okay, John, if you heard that Syria said that we are definitely going to attack you if you don't pull out, that isn't true. They pulled out because, hold on, I'm checking my notes. They were tired. It says that they were tired. TJ, you probably know his name. What is his name? The defense speaker that comes out and lies every day about Israel.
I don't know his name. No, but I know you're talking about. I know
you're gonna have to narrow it down, right? Broad net you just cast.
Yeah, he came out and he came out and said no. Our for us, our press it's not the press secretary, right? Is he the press secretary? Kirby. Yeah, Kirby. He came out and they asked because they've been asking him really I'm very rarely happy with reporters at those things because I don't think that they ask hard enough questions, but they've been tearing him up all week, making him look horrible. But yeah, they asked him basically flat out, why are they preparing to withdraw all of these troops? You guys made the biggest deal about not doing that. Like that's the whole point. Why are they suddenly doing it now? What has changed? And he was like, they're tired.
Oh wow!
They're like literally like they're going to get rest, and they go, okay, well, they also in Israel they told families to start stockpiling food, and buy generators. Does that have anything to do with it? No, that's just something else that they're doing. Well, Syria said that they will attack them. And nope. I didn't hear anything about it. Don't know. We're looking into that. That's his favorite line. We're looking into it, and once we discover everything, then we'll let you know. It's like, okay, no, they're definitely pulling out because they're afraid of a fight that's going to happen. But I don't think that they're going to completely leave. I also feel like it's part of like a farce that they're going to either put people immediately back on the ground or even scarier, possibly, it's fine for Israel to pull out their troops because we have troops there. Like, I haven't seen anything more confirmed of that than the self-immolation from a couple of weeks ago and just rumor mill stuff circulating on social media, but I haven't seen any official source. Have you guys seen anything that was like more than like I've seen apparent photographs of soldiers in Israel, US soldiers in Israel, the Air Force soldier that self-immolated in front of the consulate.
Mhm.
He apparently, like, his roommate leaked his orders or something like that, and he alluded to it in his live when he made that choice. And I think it made a lot more sense for people once the paperwork like started leaking that like they were, because I think he worked for intelligence or something like that. So he knew like what future missions or things were in the works and what was going to happen, and that was why, because he felt like America was going to just join the invasion. But other than those few things, that story got buried real quick, and I haven't seen any like any official source like cite that. But my conspiracy theory brain is that could be another reason why, is because they don't need all of them there, but they do think Syria is going to attack them, which would
I
be
haven't
awful.
heard so much about Syria as I have Iran. Israel is playing this really messy game right now, and I'm actually in the middle of a game of Civ where I've overextended my military. I thought I was going to be able to take this small city state, but then another country went to war with me. I'm suddenly completely spread out. Like, it's a mistake all Civ players make. Except Netanyahu's doing it in the real world with real people and actually murdering them. And it's much scarier because, like, what he did, we discussed this last week, TJ, is that he definitely attacked an Iranian consulate in order to try and draw the U.S. into this conflict. Excuse me. And Biden has come out and said, Biden has more strictly told him to get the hell out of Gaza, but has come to the firm defense of, if Iran attacks, the U.S. will be standing by their ally. So it's really a tricky situation where I do feel like they're moving troops out of Gaza, both to appease America and also to try and I feel like this is just an America thing, like how they played that ad during the Super Bowl at the same time they decided to bomb Rafah. That's right. This is all for American optics. It is trying to pull true, we're de-escalating, we're being the good guys, but what they're really doing is moving their troops to defend against the other people that they unjustly attacked and are going to attack them back, and for this sole purpose of trying to draw America into a regional military conflict. I think that's genuinely what this is here. TJ, do you have a different take?
No, what you guys said are excellent points. I want to go kind of in reverse order of the stuff we talked about. So Ryan mentioned Kirby. My favorite clip with Kirby was they were, because you're right, like most of the press corps, the people that get to, talk to, high-ranking officials or even their spokespeople, is that they kind of like almost for self-preservation, don't ask tough questions a lot because you want to get invited back the next day. And if you're an asshole to them, they're like, oh no, we're not giving you a press card. But one day this is like late last year, they were really grilling them because Israel released a video of them leveling the University of University of Palestine. I can't remember. It was a city I can't remember. But it was a university in Palestine. And they asked them, well, why did they destroy the university? Like, you guys set mines in there, so there's no Hamas soldiers in there to get rid of. And he says, well, we don't know what was under that university, going back to the whole tunnels and shit. And I did a video talking about that. Listen, we do know what was under that university. It was valuable land that could be exploited by the Israelis to make money off it. That's what that's for. And so watching them fall apart, that was pretty good. And as far as what Ryan mentioned about the U.S. military being in Israel and involved in this assault, yeah, I do recall that when Bushnell with the immolation, that his orders did have something to do with working with Israel. And my guess would be that the U.S. involved in Israel is kind of like what they do in Ukraine, is that they have training regiments there. And that's kind of the main thing. We do a lot of training regiments with Israel, either here and abroad. And the soldiers, I brought that down. And yes, I am 100% certain that the threats, because you can only push this shit so far. You can only, once you attack an embassy in Syria with Iranian generals in there, you're begging for a response. And you're right, John, too, that they're trying to bring the U.S. into it, because we've been blustering about going to war with Iran, honestly, since like the 9/11 days. Iran was always on the list. But the truth of the matter is, we do not want smoke with Iran. We don't. We don't want it because we would lose that war. Well, we certainly wouldn't win. Like it wouldn't be like Iraq where we could, just take out the power structure and then, fuck up the nation building part. We would never get to the taking out the power structure part because of the size and the terrain. It would be like combining Iraq and Afghanistan into one nation. Like it would be a complete mess. So I did see that they left one battalion in southern Gaza. That's they only have one left in there, and that Hamas and the IDF are trying to work on this 6-month ceasefire they were talking about or something, which does lead me to believe that, like what you said, John, that there is a lot of pressure from the White House here because that's what they're mostly afraid of. They're on the secondary list. I would say they would be afraid of Arab nations, finally having enough when you start fucking with them, not just the Palestinians, but other ones too. So it's good to see this happen, that there's at least a de-escalation. And the sad thing about it, the absolute worst part is that let's say tomorrow morning, Israel's like, oh, our bad. We fucked this up, folks. This is terrible. We apologize for all that. We're all going to throw a party. There'll be a big celebration of shit. Zero consequences for Israel. Zero. They will never pay a price at all for all the shit that they've done since October 7th. And people will still see the Palestinians as the bad people, even though they're the ones living in squalor for the next, decade now after their entire infrastructure has been destroyed. That's the sad part about this is that I looked at that. I was like, oh, this is great news. Like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is like just the bare bones level of human decency. You do not deserve a party for this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Good shit. All right, good stuff. Yeah, thank you for bringing that one up, Ryan. That was
yeah, Ryan. We talk about it like every. We were talking before you came on. We're just like we've talked about this every single week. I can't believe we didn't have an Israel related topic on the. Maybe it was just like it does seem like a big thing, but
you get fatigued. I mean, you get fatigued.
The problem with this thing is that it's just like it's only big if it's like a smaller thing compared to a bigger thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just waiting to see how the cards play out.
So, narrates that Iran has shown itself to have the most amount of patience. Listen, back in January 2020, everyone's kind of forgotten about this. Well, not really, but it kind of got drowned out with COVID and everything. I was still in the army in January 2020. And that was when Trump assassinated Qasem Soleimani. And I remember that night just sitting on the couch, just reading the news on my phone, was like, oh my God, we're going to go to war with Iran. I was thinking that. I was like, oh, here it is. This is it. This finally did it. And they didn't. Like they did a small attack and they destroyed a couple of empty buildings on one of our bases in Iraq. But yeah, I'm not shilling for the Iranian government here. No, don't get me wrong. It is a brutal theocratic dictatorship. But they are showing a remarkable amount of restraint, when they could be doing a whole lot more. I certainly would have done more, but yeah, good on them there. Okay. I would like to talk.
Comment section today, by the way.
Comment section's great. Yeah, thanks.
This is the most chatter we've had in our comment section.
We
were talking. Narrator, appreciate it, Liz.
We were talking about this yesterday that we like people to comment more, but whenever I watch content on social media stuff, I rarely even let alone comment. And unless I know the person, if I know them, then I'll do it. But other than that, I don't really. And so, yeah, but I appreciate it. Let's see.
What's next, TJ? We got.
I would like to talk about RFK.
Let's talk about RFK then.
While we still can, right? Let's see.
He's trying to get rid of Biden. And
yes.
Is he magic? Is that the thing? There's so many conspiracy theories around him, right? Like in particular, isn't he like QAnon's president?
Voters in the House.
Oh yeah, he is a QAnon dude. Before we get into this part, I want to talk about the QAnon because I remember RFK from the early 2000s. Like that's when I was first introduced to him, and he was a big environmental guy. That was his thing. He was all into, trying to take care of the environment. It wasn't until very recently, well, maybe 10, 12 years ago, where his vaccine denial shit started becoming a big deal. And you got to be careful talking about this topic on YouTube because I got a strike against me on YouTube channel a couple months ago, very early. I got it out of the way quick, but it was because I had a video making fun of vaccine deniers, and they gave me a content strike for spreading conspiracy of that shit. So you got to be careful on everything. But there was this instance in American Samoa like 10 years ago or something. And he was in charge of this organization that told people that, hey, vaccines are bad and all that stuff. And there was this accident at a hospital where they had some, I think, expired vaccines that they were giving babies, and 2 babies in American Samoa died. And so he used this opportunity to send in his goons to like spread the word that, you know, vaccines will kill your babies. And like dozens of American Samoan babies died that year because they didn't get the proper vaccine. So yeah, the guy is a menace. Like he's actually a lot of trouble. And that's why he has so much support from right wingers. And this is what I remember a long time ago, John, we were talking about who is he going to draw from, Republicans or Democrats? And I always thought it was Republicans because like he's always on Republican media, he's talking this shit all the time. And we finally have evidence. And I forgot her name. I wrote it down, but it's like,
it was like Rita or something.
Rita Palma.
What was it?
Rita Palma. Rita Palma.
Thank you. Rita Palma. Yeah, Rita Palma was a staffer for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And she spoke these words.
No. Okay, good. Things, I guess, will change over time because you do have to only pick one candidate at the end of the day. But the Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden. Since Biden is counting on us with Bobby in the mix, my thought is for the Republicans. See, Bobby right now, he's pulling from both sides. Right now, he's actually pulling a little bit more from Biden, which explains why the DNC is kind of ganging up on him. They have a special committee to go after independent candidates. Yeah, they say independent candidates, like non-affiliated candidates, they really mean Bobby, because Bobby's the only third party that anybody's taking seriously. So they developed a committee just to go after him and to get him off of the ballot in any way they can. Especially, it seems as though they're going after the battleground states more than the deep blue states. Bobby's moving the blues on his own. If the Republicans accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, Chicago, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, most of the Northeast is going to go blue, why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden and get those 28 electoral votes in New York? The card's a little wrong. It says 26 electoral votes. Give those 28 electoral votes to Bobby rather than to Biden, thereby reducing Biden's 270. And we all know how that works, right? 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. Does everybody follow that? Okay. There's no
I love
Biden.
the guy that says, yay. That's my favorite part. That guy was really into it.
Before we get into the
actual,
I just have to say, why was that recorded on a camcorder from 2006?
Oh, yeah.
That was the most confusing part of the whole thing.
That's true. It did seem like an old video. You're right. It did seem the quality was awful. But all right, so I have a lot to say about this. First, big fucking surprise that, that RFK's staffers are just... By the way, they fired her this morning. I saw that they got rid of her and everything. No, I'm sure it was because, she's completely misrepresenting the RFK campaign. That's not what he's going for at all. Not because, she blew wide up what their actual plan was. But the thing I want to talk about is first... how incredibly familiar her tone was. Like, yeah, we're gonna vote for Bobby, like they're friends or something like that. I was like, damn, that's awful close companionship there. And then what she said about independent candidates, I don't know what data she's looking at, because all the data that I saw showed that RFK was taking more from Republicans. Like every now and then you'd see something where, especially early on when he was still listed as a Democrat. But ever since then, the poll's been for Trump, and you can tell because Donald Trump is always out there attacking RFK. Like if he really believed that RFK was going to drain votes away from Biden, he would be hyping this guy at every possible opportunity. And then one thing she said is the incredible solipsism of this statement, where she says, "Well, they're afraid of Bobby, and that's why the Democrats have set up this team to go against independent candidates. And he's the only one who's like, no, that's not why they set that up. They set that up to go after progressive. Like, that's why the Democrats set up, a team to go after independents.
Right.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. Like, you guys are Johnny come latelys of this shit. They have been going after the left flank of the Democrats and people who don't, fall in line with the party for decades now. So that's not news to us. But
yeah, Bernie knows.
Bernie knows all too well. Exactly. Thank you. An actual literal independent. But yeah, so what were your guys' thoughts upon seeing this? Like, you were shocked, I'm sure. Like, you had to pick yourselves off the floor hearing this news.
I mean, the most shocking thing is just the incredible bluntness of this staffer. And I do wonder, a lot of times when like a campaign or a company or something denies, like, oh, this person wasn't really involved or whatever, because that's what the RFK campaign is doing, is they fired her and they're like, oh, she misrepresented her job title, and she isn't really involved in strategy or whatever. She doesn't represent. Now, usually I have that. Usually I'm just, oh yeah, of course. You're lying. I actually kind of believe him a little bit, because even a Trump campaign staffer isn't that incompetent to just in front of all of those people. And that was an obvious like recording from the campaign. Like that wasn't like someone on their cell phone. That was a set up camera on a tripod that was recording this. Like, she released this. Yeah. And like, that's the most insane part to me, that like she would say these words publicly, purposely record them and share them. Is just insane to think that like she is doing the right thing. And like, to me, someone that incompetent, they might actually just be fucking lying and was never really involved. Like, I do kind of buy it, because that is the worst campaign staffer in the entire history of campaign staff, if that's actually like real.
Right.
Well, sorry, Ryan. So you're saying that she wasn't actually a campaign staffer? Because
no, she was a campaign staffer, but like, I kind of sort of believe the RFK campaign when they say that, oh, she was just like doing administrative, like signing.
She was a ballot access consultant.
Yeah, like she wasn't like involved in the RFK campaign strategy in New York. And the way she, like, you kind of feel like, oh, maybe she just kind of got a little power hungry. You realize she had the microphone and started saying how she really feels, even though there's no actual credence to what she's saying. Now, am I saying that what she's saying is wrong? No, but I do think there's a grain of truth to that. That was totally lone wolf behavior. I don't know, what do you think, Ryan?
The thing I think is interesting is that she pointed to a PowerPoint. That's the part that's interesting to me, is that this feels very, it feels very planned. And from, I mean, I'm sure TJ, you can reflect on things like this too, but like, from working on campaigns, my own campaign, working with local Democrats, local level Democrats work like this. Like, I will never ever forget like, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and I'm sure you guys saw, because it made national news a couple of years ago, for running for mayor in Buffalo, there was a registered Democratic Socialist that was running, and she beat the incumbent in the primary. The Republicans never run anybody because they always lose, but they don't, and I'll explain why they actually don't lose in a second. But he was flabbergasted. His gasted was flabbered, because he hasn't lost in over a decade. He never thought that he would ever lose, but he didn't realize how much younger and how much more progressive Buffalo had become in this time. He ran a successful write-in campaign that ended up coming back and winning in like almost a landslide, because Republicans voted for him. The Republican Party gave millions of dollars to help this man's campaign, and so you have to sit back and you wonder, well, who does he work for? Like, the DNC, the Democrats of New York, they didn't give him any more money, but the Republicans of New York did give him much more money. And Republicans have been doing this exact everything that she just said. I'm like, that is the strategy. They try to get rid of the more progressive candidate by by running these other candidates under that, or trying to primary them to split votes and do different things like that. But Republicans pay for the entire thing the whole time. They are running like these things. So it's not at the local level. It isn't a conspiracy. It's just like how Republicans have been doing a lot of their local elections lately for the last, I'll say 15, 20 years. Slowly ramping up. That's how we get Marjorie Taylor Greene's, is because Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't just come out of nowhere. They come up in politics and then they surround themselves by that. And then you go, well, I mean, I guess, she's been around for a while. They're just around for a while, but they come up with these small, like, local elections. So hearing her say this is the strategy, like you said, John. Yep, it probably is the strategy. She just probably should have said it out loud in front of a camera and then put it online. But that's probably exactly what they are. What their plan is to, because I think to me, if he would have ran as a Republican, I wouldn't have been surprised. I think RFK Jr. is pretty far right with a lot of its stances.
He is, but he's a Kennedy, and so I mean I get why he ran as a Democrat, because he used to be a Democrat, and he was also known for his environmental stuff. But over the last decade and a half or so, he has drifted to the right, as a lot of people have, unfortunately. And there's more money over there. But like, his original plan was to siphon away votes as a Democrat, and he just wasn't getting enough traction on there. And that's why Trump didn't start attacking you until he was independent. But man, Ryan, I am so upset that we invited you on the show today, because I had blocked India Walton out of my mind. Like, that whole story, that was so. Do you guys remember how exciting that was when she won that primary? We're like, hey, all right, we are moving up finally. I mean, like you said, we thought it was in the bag. It's like, Republicans not going to win this, and then sure as shit, the old guy, a write-in campaign, man, like that was a dark time.
He did a write-in campaign. It was the most money anybody's ever spent on a write-in campaign in, like, mayoral history in New York. It was something like crazy. It was millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he raised it basically overnight. And it's because the Republicans gave it to him. Like, and again, not a conspiracy theory.
No,
the mailers and leaflets, because they have to announce who it was. It was paid by the Republicans of New York. Paid for by the Republican Party of New York is doing this. At a certain point, as a Democrat, you got to sit back and go, wait a second. Why did they agree with the guy? I know why I agree with the guy, but they agree with him they gotta agree with him for a different reason. And yeah, it was a crushing thing to India, and they pulled out every dirty, gross Republican trick you could think of. They did to her. They towed her car, they found parking tickets. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny talking to friends around the nation, because there was a lot of things that happened that were just local news stories that just never really got out. Yeah, they towed her car because they found a parking ticket from like 4 years ago that she didn't pay parking tickets, and ran this story that she was stealing from the city, not paying her parking tickets. And you know who pays for that? The taxpayers. They're the ones paying it at the end of the day. And it's like, you guys booted her car like a week before the election. What kind of, come on. Like,
typical socialist, just siphoning off taxpayer fund, $78 at a time.
It's the two-tier justice system, TJ.
Which
yeah, I mean, they had for her protection, right? Because she was a high-profile candidate. That's why the cops kept following her to work and sat outside of her job. It wasn't intimidation. That's rude of you to even bring it up, TJ. It wasn't intimidation. They sat outside of her house for 2 weeks because they were keeping her safe, and flexing on her friends. They didn't know who they were. So,
yeah, of course. You know what's really bad about this shit is that right-wingers. So the reason that we have people like RFK and, Joe Rogan and the people who just fall for every wild conspiracy possible is something we talk about a lot, is that Americans, and less so the rich guys, but your average person who follows these conspiracies, that they're smart enough to realize they're getting effed over. They realize something's not right. They know that, there are powerful people who are screwing them at every turn, but they're not informed enough to figure out exactly how it's happened or how it's happening. And so they just connect these dots that have no business being connected. And the unfortunate reality is that, like you were talking about how it's not a conspiracy. The cops are just following you. It's not a conspiracy. You have an unpaid parking ticket. Is that real life conspiracies are usually pretty goddamn boring. They're pretty mundane
Right.
shit. That they just use like we don't need to build like this idea of an Illuminati, of this like powerful group of rich people who are controlling things behind the scenes. No, it's the powerful rich people who are controlling things out in public, who tell you what they're doing. Like, you don't need to like craft this wild Charlie Day conspiracy shit. It's right there in front of you. It's real, but not in the way they think it is. And I don't know. It's a lot less fun though. It's a lot less fun. Like if you're a QAnon person and you got, your bingo card of the solar eclipse and the earthquakes and everything and the red heifers in Israel. Oh, you're having the time of your life. But we're up here saying that, there's like 6 companies that own the media. Get the fuck out of here. Get that boring ass shit. Like give me the fun stuff. Like I see why folks like RFK are popular, because they feed into this narrative that, an unfortunately undereducated populace will just, eat up in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Good shit. RFK is always a fun guy to talk. I remember the first time I heard RFK, it was on the radio. I was listening to like the Sean Hannity show or something, and I heard him talk, and it was. I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
It is the worst voice.
It's the terrible. Yeah,
he makes Louis Armstrong's speaking voice sound like it's like a bed of roses.
Well, Louis Armstrong sounds cool though.
Well, he sounds cool singing, but like he sounds cool singing. But if you hear Louis Armstrong talk, it's just like, oh, this is a weird like speaking voice, But it's like if Louis Armstrong was just raked over hot coals, and that's what he sounds like.
I used to always make fun of him until I realized, like last year, that his voice sounds that way because he had like cancer or something. He had like some weird disease. I didn't know that. I was
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? Politics is the art of identifying convenient enemies. Ideas like capitalism, powerful class like bankers and capitalists are not. Yes, well, I think they are convenient, but it's just not fun. Like it's not fun. Like that's why Republicans are like, go watch a Trump rally sometime. They've got fun hats. They've got, they're barbecuing hot dogs. They're singing songs. Like they are having the time of their fucking lives out there. And I get it. I get it. They got Ted Nugent singing some 40-year-old rock song they all grew up on. So I can kind of understand. It's like and this is why republicanism or conservatism works, is that it's very simple. It's like, where they talk about it's basic biology. There's only 2 genders. Like, what are you guys talking about? Or this is Econ 101. Like, and you're like, yeah, it is Econ 101, but
there's a reason why there's more class.
Yes. It's like, teach this shit to 18-year-olds who don't know what the fuck is going on. Try Econ 201 sometimes and then get back to me or whatever. Yeah. It's like, they kind of give the game away with that shit all the time because I don't know. That's the part that actually gets me the most about Republicans, is that it's not so much that they're unequipped with the gray matter to handle this. They're just not interested in it. They're just not interested in learning, and they're proud of that. How many times have you heard conservatives talk about how college is a scam? School is just there to turn you into a Marxist and some shit. It's like, no, you actually learn stuff. That's kind of important too. But they like being dumb. They enjoy it. It's their own fault.
Yeah, they like living in this fantasy world where anything is possible and the world is your oyster and you can do whatever you would like to, because somehow lizard people are going to be in a pizza shop and they're doing this. That's why all of their stuff sounds like sci-fi movies, and like all of their conspiracies are like these almost heroic acts where they have to be the hero of this. And I remember talking to somebody and like kind of dissecting like the Republican mindset, why would they attack people, or why would they do attack people outside of Planned Parenthoods and things like that. And I explained to my friend at the time, I was like, if you truly believed, like with all of your heart, you truly believe this, you will not let rationality or like any evidence dissuade your opinion. You truly believe that inside those walls, somebody is eating children, and you alone can stop them. I'm like, you would go in and do it. That's how these people think. They think that they are the superhero. They are. I was gonna say Ray, but they're not. They're not Ray. They don't believe in Ray. They probably only think it's they're Luke and and Anakin because he didn't do anything wrong. And just quick sidebar: how did Mark Hamill end up being like an actual villain? Like, what's going on with this guy? I'm sorry.
That was one of the most disappointing ones. Oh my god!
I think it was Leah that told us that we were talking about. I think she was mentioned. She's like, "Did you hear Mark Hamill supports the IDF?" Like, no, we were heartbroken. We're like, how did this happen? Because his takes are generally good. And then we talked about how he's old and like if you're 75 years old, I mean, it's honestly weird. He's as cool as
okay. I just watched. I'm sorry. Quick aside. I just watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just watched Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time ever because I had a stunted childhood, I guess. And I was like, so wait a second. Are we the Fire Nation? It was like that sound on TikTok. It's like, is this play about us? And it's like, are we the Fire Nation? Is Israel the Fire Nation? I think they might be. And then you realize that like the leader of the Fire Nation is voiced by Mark Hamill, and I'm like, I think he's been telling us the whole time.
Oh, that's so sad, man. That's so sad. Like, you either die a hero or
I guess so.
I do like that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but these people think that they're their own Luke Skywalker, so that's why they want to stay uninformed, not to even just be dumb or like it's because their utopia gets blown up if you add facts to it, because the world is way more simple and less interesting than a Hollywood blockbuster, and that's what they want to live in.
It's kind of like, well, before I go that, I like the idea that they're Anakin Skywalker. It's kind of perfect. It's kind of perfect to think about it because, they're whiny, they're bitching, they're entitled to everything, and they're given all of the luxuries in life, and they're still not happy. And no problem with genocide. Just no problem with it at all. It's like, if I need to commit a genocide or two, I'm going to be perfectly fine with it. And so, not taking proper care of their kids, contacting them when they're old, and trying to set up a friendship with them. Like, it's kind of perfect. Like that they're Anakin.
Weird belief in genetic lines of power.
Yes. We've talked about this before, that the U.S. is the empire. Like it's kind of
that one's explicit. That one's explicit.
I was like, well, I guess the explicit interpretation is that they're the Germans in World War II because they have the uniforms and shit.
George
no. They're supposed to be America.
They're called stormtroopers. They have SS. So I'm saying, like, the presentation. But it's hard to like say, oh yeah, this is definitely the United States here, and so.
And I pop up the other thing that narrator said. There is no genocide. I say there is no genocide. There is no war in Boston. I say that all the fucking time. Like, it's just like a comment. Like,
I get it now.
Did you know though? Did you know that line is not spoken with the smiley? Like, the smiley girl never says there is no war in Boston. Like the girl you're thinking of in the meme right now, she does not say that line. And because I tried to find the clip of it to like put in a video and spend hours searching for it. And I watched the episode and I was like, she never says that. That's just fucking.
She does not say it.
But TJ, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say, just quick. The Fire Nation is also like said to be canonically supposed to be like post World War One or whatever, the United States, or yeah, it's supposed to be. It's actually supposed to be the United States's like what the worst case scenario of the United States becoming what it was, like, because we did have all this like prosperity and finances, and the war ended up being good for the Allies, and then you look back on it, it's like, but what if then they just went evil? It's kind of like, well, I mean,
that is a good point. Like,
we did a Korea and a Vietnam and a Desert Storm, and we were pretty evil.
We
after.
did have the opportunity to just like take it all over, and we didn't. So I guess it's a positive.
We were less evil than the Nazis. I mean, you got to hand it to us. Like, we were a little bit less evil. Like, we weren't quite that bad. So yeah, like, they could have been worse.
What a bar to just step right over. The bar is on the ground.
We, instead of taking over the world, we built rockets to the moon. We just had to, we did what we had to do. I was like I was useless I've never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I'm sorry. I would have loved to throw references in there. I've only heard good things about it, so I should get around to it. It's just one of those things that I missed.
The animated show, not the live action.
All right, so I did watch the live action movie.
Oh God, definitely not.
No.
It was, but I knew it was awful. I was like, okay, I didn't judge the cartoon by that. I was like, what was it? Was it M. Night Shyamalan? Did you do that?
Yeah,
it was like,
he did The Last Airbender.
Yeah, it was terrible. So, but I heard the cartoon is good. I've only heard good things about it. But yeah, I'm still thinking about like the Anakin Skywalker thing. TJ, why would you do that? You know what? I don't remember, because I remember when I went to see it, I knew
saw it in theaters. You paid money to buy tickets.
It must have been with a girl. It must have been. That's the only reason I would have done this. And I think I know which
I would
one.
have done so stupid if the girl wanted to do it with
to be fair, the internet wasn't reviewing movies at the speed that we review them now. You could have went for like 3 weeks and watched bad movies and didn't know that they were bad until your buddies told you.
I was thinking of memes because that happens a lot, where someone will put a meme and it doesn't match, like it's like slightly off in the character. I don't know if you guys ever watched Supernatural, but there was Dean Winchester. There was a meme of him in a cowboy hat saying, "You've yeed your last haw," and I've always thought that meme was hilarious. And he never says it in the show. It's like, oh, he never says it once. But all right, let's bring this baby home with good old Arizona. What state is Arizona? What is that? The Sun Belt state, I think.
Something like they're the Sun Devils. The Arizona.
They're in the Sun Belt, right?
Okay.
Like, isn't the Sun Belt like a bunch of states?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up right now. Sun Devil sounds right. That's right.
That's the Arizona.
The Sunshine State, right?
That's
no, that's Florida.
Arizona is the Grand Canyon state. It's boring. Holy shit.
Wow.
It's
also such a cop out. Like, they're not the only Grand Canyon state.
Okay. Supernatural
assholes.
30 seasons and Avatar has 3.
This is just flaming you, DJ.
So I started watching Supernatural years ago. This is just a television review episode at this point. But I started watching Supernatural, like 5 years ago. And my girlfriend at the time, all the media I consume is from women. And so and she's like, hey, you got to watch the show Supernatural. I was like, oh, I've never seen it before. She says, well, there's 14 seasons of it. And I said, listen, there is no way in hell that there's any show in existence with 14 good seasons. And so the show ended, and I watched the show, and I was right. There were not, but there were like 10 good seasons. Like, oh wow, this is actually it ended with 17 seasons. Believe it or not, like the show is 17 seasons long, but it was pretty
Jesus
good.
Christ.
Yeah, it's a lot. They did not. It ended. It's supposed to end in 5, but it was a really good and popular show. So Eric Kripke, the showrunner, left it to someone else, and they finished like the other 12 seasons. But Eric Kripke, he's the guy that does The Boys, so he's a good director. But I wanted to show this while we're having fun here. Talking about Arizona. Do you guys know what vexillology is?
No.
Yeah,
no.
It's a word I just learned last week, but I'll pretend that I've always known it. But Vexillology is the study of flags. And if you want to see a state with a nice flag, Arizona, gotta tell you, yeah, it's hard to beat that flag. That is a hell of. Wait a minute, that's not the flag I was looking for. Fuck it, nah, I ruined this entire bit.
It kind of looks like if Japan. It reminds me of Japan. It gives me Japan vibes right away.
Yeah.
That's actually not the flag I was looking for. I was looking for, I think, New Mexico's flag. That's the nice flag. Give me a second here. This is what you came here for, Ryan.
Flag reviews. TJ, we should do a whole episode just reviewing state flags. I actually feel like that would be.
Now you're making me so curious.
So, all right,
ranking the 50 flags. Just do one of those like tier list things.
All right, here we go. Here we
S tier flags are the Southwest flags.
This flag will carry your state.
The New Mexico flag. That is a hell of a flag right there.
That's a flag.
That's a flag. That is a damn
flag right there.
It is. I mean, that's
S tier all the way. That might.
Oh my god! Like the best flags look like flags that you would have in like a fascist dictatorship. Like that flag looks like, right? Doesn't it? It's fantastic. But all right, let's. Speaking of fascist dictatorships, let's talk about this Arizona abortion law that just happened here. So, I'm sure
you gotta love it when they bring back Civil War era
legislation.
Laws.
This is like
love it.
Oh,
it's comically absurd.
It's so absurd. So, for those of you who haven't heard, I'll go ahead and look at this video here. Talking about what we're discussing.
Arizona's Supreme Court, a court made up of all Republican appointees, have ruled in a 4-2 decision that physicians are now on notice that all abortions, except those necessary to save a woman's life, are illegal. That decision and the timing is truly stranger than fiction. It happened just a day after Donald Trump said, leave it to the states to make up their mind.
I got to say, I love the split screen with Donald Trump just rambling there. I don't know why, but I just love that they put that.
I love that they have the audio, like
the audio too,
in the background. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I love that.
On abortion. Now, the country has firsthand evidence of what exactly a 50-state patchwork approach to abortion would actually look like. The GOP spent 50 years trying to eradicate Roe versus Wade. But now that they have, the aftermath isn't pleasant. And only now that the electoral consequences of all of this are becoming more clear, Republicans are acknowledging that laws like the one on the books in Arizona simply are not good ones.
All right, so I wanted to show that, and I also wanted to show one more clip. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is a clip of something that happened before the Supreme Court ruled on this Civil War era legislation, and it is Republicans praying in the Arizona Senate for this legislation to pass. I want to add they're praying.
Yes.
They are praying and speaking in tongues. So if you're wondering if you can't understand what some of them are saying, you're not supposed to.
Let it be so, Father God. Let it be so. Let it be so. Lord, right now we release the presence of the Lord in the Senate chamber. We release the hovering glory of God Almighty in the Senate chamber. We just pray right now, Lord God, over every.
All right. I had
these people make laws.
This is what I'm saying here. Like, I couldn't wait to get this story because look, Joe Biden is fucking up at stepping on his own dick at every possible turn. But here's the thing. Republicans are goddamn insane. They are just out of their fucking minds. And so people first, they're going to hear, wow, we have a narrator brought up something. The point here is like how this is not only a Civil War legislation, this is Arizona territory legislation. Like it predates the state of Arizona. And it actually really does. It really does. So they see this. They're like, okay, we joke about how Republicans are backwards and how they're, taking the country. They say take the country back as in like an action, but no, they want to like time machine the country back, and they keep doing the shit. Then you see elected Republican state senators on their hands and knees babbling to Elohim so that he would, implement that is going to scare the shit out of a bunch of normie voters. Like it's definitely going to happen. And so what I'm saying, we have a spirit. We do what we do. It's not. I mean, it is. I want to say it's not funny anymore. It's actually hilarious, but it's like it is. It is really scary though. And it's like the Republicans, and then Donald Trump it's been really funny to watch Trump. And honestly, all Republicans deal with this ever since Roe v. Wade, because they've had, a year and a half now to figure out their game plan, and they still don't have one, because they have been saying for 55 years now, abortion is murder. Abortion, it is unacceptable. That is a living human baby at, 3 weeks, just like it is at 10 months. It's the exact same thing. However, we're weirded out now that you guys are actually acting like what we're saying is true. So it is. I couldn't wait to get the story because it is destroying the Republicans, and I am here for it. What do you think, John?
I love just the karmatic irony. Just that they have been nonstop telling us about how we're killing babies for my entire life, and now the abortions are going to kill them. Because this is the death knell of I really genuinely think that we are going to have some sort of party realignment or something, because the Republican Party as it stands cannot survive post-Trump with all of it. They're going to get their shit rocked all across the country in 2024 because of this abortion shit. And that's the thing, like watching these videos, it's like, yeah, of course these are the people making the decision, because if I was a Democrat strategist and I had control of the Republican Party, that's what I would make them do. Like if I could telepathically control the Republicans in Arizona and have them do something, that's exactly what I do. I have them do a fucking prayer circle, get down on their knees and go, ah, la, 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 and then reinstate. It's not just an abortion ban. It's a Civil War era abortion ban. Like, how do they think that that's a smart idea? Like, and even if you do, just wait 6 months.
Yes.
Like just wait. Like you could do this anytime. Why now? Oh my God. It's genuinely insane. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is but I think it's such a softball, and I think it's easy for us to be like, this is a death rattle. But the thing that scares me, that gives me just a little bit of like, well, we need to
what if it's
still
not?
is that these guys are elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been crazy. They've been doing this the entire time. Like I was reminding people in videos like Marjorie Taylor Greene is an elected official. You get all day be like, I hate everything that she says and does. But she was elected. And this is why I've been pushing for like the last few months. It's like we keep talking about the presidency and we keep talking about the presidential election, which is that's the one that's happening in November. But also a majority of the House seats are going up too, and a few Senate seats. A lot of state houses, state senates are going up, and they're having elections. And that's where the crazy people are. Like Biden is acting like he can't control this. Like he's saying like he can, he's saying that he can't, vote for me, I'll let you know. But like if you guys would have just not voted for those people rolling around on the ground foaming at the mouth, then like you would have not had this problem in the first place, because I'm curious as to, like, we see the crazy stuff because that's the stuff that makes the news. But what did these people say to get elected in the first place? Because if you held this position this strongly that you did that, noticed someone was filming you, and then kept doing it, like, how you've been like this. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
how
like
do you
these
do
people.
Ryan, you're attributing rational thought to someone who would do this in the first place. That ship waved bye-bye a long time before they noticed the camera.
Yeah. And like these people are they're doing these things and they're putting like themselves out there in this like aspect, and I think a lot of voters are going to be super confused. But the also really shitty thing about this is a lot of these assholes don't even have anybody going against them.
Yes.
They're not they're not running against anybody. They got elected 20 years ago and they've just been rolling along ever since, because you walk in and you just tick the box. You forgot what they even said 10 years ago, but then you see this and you're like, oh wait, shit, are they crazy? I think they might be crazy, but also in November there's nobody else to vote for.
So that's a really good point. I like that you brought up that they're doing it voluntarily in public. They weren't caught doing this. Like they were doing it, right under the big lights, and honestly probably hoping that someone would catch them doing it, would record them, because we like to act like the problem is Republican politicians. It's not. It's Republican voters. Republican voters are fucking psycho, and they have psycho representatives. And also what you mentioned about how we apparently this is where we always, John and I, give Republicans their due, is that they've put in the fucking work. Like for the last 50 or 60 years, like ever since the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act, they have mobilized on the local level, on the state level, and worked to federal level. Like they died before their dream. They were Moses. Like they didn't get to see the promised land. They just walked it through there, and their children accomplished the goal for them. And we need to do that. Like we do. We need to get involved in school board elections. We need to get involved in city council and mayoral races. The ones that aren't sexy. Like we need to do that. You put in that work, and then we can make major change, because there's no excuse for this. Like in the year of our Lord 2024, seeing people writhing around like Gregorian monks or something in the 1400s, it is an embarrassment of the highest order. And this is something that I have proposed for a couple of years now that I'm only half joking about. I'm not sure if it's a joke quite yet, but why don't we all just run as Republicans? Just do it. Just go out and register as a Republican in your red. I live in a deep red state, Indiana, and I should just run as a Republican. I think about it. How hard could it possibly be to run as a Republican for any office? Like you don't have to, convene with experts. You don't have to study data. You don't have to, put together a solid plan. All you have to do is go out on stage and say, listen, folks, Satan is real. He's coming for your kids. And if you vote for me, I'll stop him. That's it. And you've got half the vote already. It's already done.
Pay attention. You, TJ, I actually, because I've said this about like what we do, like to do I left the left, but then fake it. But like that's actually a real strategic option. I'm surprised has never been tried, because it would totally work.
It would work. It would. Go ahead.
It would work so easily. Honestly, the Democrat Socialists should just run as Republicans. They will win, and then no one will pay attention, and they'll implement socialism. Like that. That's exactly what would happen.
Got one vote. Got Martinez's vote. But no. And here's the thing, like. I thought about this a lot too, because you could just fake it and lie and just spout Republican talking points, but you could honestly, because that would only work for one term, because then they would get you out the next time.
Would they even pay attention?
Maybe not. But a Republican, like if you actually voted left for 2 straight years, I think that they would catch on. Enough of them would that you could be threatened in the primary. However, if you are charismatic enough and handsome enough, you could actually get away with this. Something, because what I say all the time is that what we should do is focus on something that seems like it's Republican coded, but it's not, like the family value stuff. Like I want to vote for policies that allow parents to spend more time with their children. I want to make it so that you can support a family of 4 or 5 on one income. Just stuff like that, like stuff that we care about, that for some reason, like the Republicans are the family values, group, when they're not at all, because they're interested in you spending more time at work, not more time with your kids. And we can focus on stuff like that. And then you get in office and you do something good. They're like, okay, TJ, sure, he wasn't the Republican I thought he was, but yeah, I'll vote for him again. He seems like he's doing a good job. I think that could work for enough of us. And also, if we just bum rush this, because if we like 10 of us all run for the same seat or something, we could get this done. Like, how would they know?
But that's the thing. If you just do it and you get the majority with the Democrats, like that's the thing. Like you only need 20 seats to get this, and then once you have it for one term, gerrymander the shit out of the state, and now Democrats are in control forever. Like it seems like a viable 20-year strategy that I'm surprised they've never really attempted. Are they just the Democrats are just too play by the rules? We love our institutions.
We need to be more comfortable on the low road. We've got to be happy with the low road. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like what Magneto says. I don't know if you guys watched the new X-Men cartoon, but it's fantastic.
Oh, it's
but,
fantastic! Really,
it's fantastic.
Really good.
That last episode was some of the best television I've ever seen in my life. But in the first or second episode, I think the second of Magneto says, is this the high road's destination? Yeah, I was like, are you happy with this? Like, no, let's do some low road shit. What do you think, Ryan? You joining us on the low road? We drag you down in the mud?
No, I've been saying this for years too.
Oh,
I think it's such a good idea, especially when I saw that. I mean, as quiet as it's kept, it's a pretty open secret that Republicans are doing this right now. They're already doing this bit.
Yeah,
so why don't we just do this bit too? Because you're right. If you talk to, and I used to when I was running for city council, I would go. I got the Republican voter sheet. Mm-hmm. And I would go and I would talk to them, and I would do the same thing that you just said. Like, just talk about the surface level talking point, but it's like those things are actually solved with socialist programs. But if I say any of that, you guys are convinced that because something that you just said, like they want the families to actually spend more time at work. That's not what they want. They want you to work hard enough to become the boss so that you never have to do that again.
True, yeah.
But they just don't know that the boss is never going to let you. They have this you're going to climb the ladder mentality, but you're never going to climb the ladder because the ladder is broken. It's made for you to never climb it. But when you tell people about these programs or explain it to them, they understand it and they almost always agree, because I don't know anybody who did not spend their stimulus check. I don't know anybody who didn't cash one because it was communism.
Right.
All of my far right friends or anybody that I know that was like, I voted for Trump. Forever Trumpers they still cashed them checks. That was explicitly social. That's exciting. That's the thing that we've been saying. We're like, oh man, that'd be crazy if we could do this every month, huh? Like if everybody just got this all the time. And they were like, yeah, I would definitely love that. But you got to pay your own student loans back.
Oh God, yeah, Jesus Christ,
damn it, we were so close for you guys to understand. And I think a lot of working class people. I think class solidarity. You can kind of move in that area and get those people on board with socialist things, because that's the shit that actually helps them. Every Republican idea does not help the working class, and that's everybody else. That's anybody. They successfully. Reagan said he was going to do it, and they did it. They destroyed the middle class, and it's gone. And now we have a bunch of working class people that I got sold the idea that you're only supposed to get a crumb and make sure that brown guy doesn't get it either, while I stuff my face full of cookies. It's that. But I think it's a great idea. We should absolutely do that. Please run for local elections, even school board.
All of us.
Run for school. School board is more the school board is more important. You have you have a lot more sway with stuff. And where do you think they picked your mayor from? He was the school board president for 5 years. That's just do it.
I want to tie this back to the original issue and put a bun on it here by asking this question. So we're talking about taking the low road. We're talking about some underhanded, political strategy. Here's the question. We've all been talking about how Republicans are getting their shit rocked because of the abortion issue ever since the Dobbs decision. Do you think if Democrats could hit a redo button and undo Dobbs, would they?
No, they wouldn't. No. And I think it's it reminds me, speaking of the stimulus check, I brought this up before, but when Trump was trying to get the stimulus check passed before the election, Nancy Pelosi was holding it up. And I remember watching that and it's like, oh man, ethically it's fucked up, but politically it's good. Like, I get why she's doing it. Like, I want to be mad, but she's like, listen, Trump releases the stimulus check. It's going to bump him up in the polls. People like getting the free money. It's going to help him win the election. I don't want Trump to win the election. I want Joe Biden to win so he can release it. Look, I get it. And so I think that if you take yourself back 2 years ago and they had a crystal ball and they saw the reaction of what Dobbs did, I don't think they would reverse it. And I forgot to bring this up too, when I was talking about to Ryan about how the Democrats do have a plan with Arizona with this ruling, because this is kind of wild that the Secretary of State for Arizona, she said that she's not going to enforce this law, like this ruling. So there was the ruling in the law in 1864 that outlawed abortion. And then they had a more recent law that was like a 15-week abortion limit or something like that. And then exceptions after that. And so the court's ruling was that, well, that 15-week abortion limit was only because Roe v. Wade existed. So we're going to go back to the pre-state law. It doesn't make any sense or whatever. But that election for the Secretary of State of Arizona, I can't remember, but she won by like a couple hundred votes. It was a razor thin election for the Arizona Secretary of State. And so John and I talked about this. I mean, the plan is, no one's going to be punished under this law as long as she's Secretary of State. But this ruling has guaranteed Arizona is going to be like ocean blue. It is just going to be solid all the way across.
They're putting it on the ballot. They're going to get it on the ballot. It's going to be a ballot initiative. They've already got the signatures for it. They got like 500,000 signatures immediately, which is going to drive tons of people out to not only overturn this law, but 95% of those voters are going to vote for Democrats. Down. It's just like,
right.
I know we said it 1,000 times, but it seems like they're trying to lose. It seems like the Republicans are trying to lose by doing this shit because they're true believers. They can't be stopped.
Yeah, and I think something that's helping us too is that I think a lot of people didn't realize that you didn't have to fill in all the bubbles, or like you didn't have to you didn't have to vote for everybody. So I think a lot of Republicans that are not running against any Democrats because for some reason Democrats didn't put somebody up, I think we're going to see a lot of empty bubbles. I think we're going to see a lot of weird challenges and stuff. Like November's going to be a weird election.
It is.
Because everybody's state laws are different. And like you can't, so like in New York in the primaries, you couldn't write in no, or like there was no contest or no candidate or whatever option.
Uncommitted.
So yeah, so you had to but they have to count it if it's submitted. So you literally grabbed it and just put it in blank, and like that was fun to see. There was a big old line of people just walking in, grabbing their thing, and just walking right over and just putting it in.
Weird. That's so weird. I didn't know you could do that either. I actually didn't know that until like yesterday, and it was wild that so many people in New York did that. They showed up, got a ballot, and just turned it. Nope, I'm not putting anybody's name on there. I didn't know you could do that. I really didn't. 15% blank ballots. That's okay as I thought. Yeah,
we didn't know that we could do that either until the Democratic Socialists of New York sent out, because they still get all the newsletters and everything. They fired it out to everybody. This is what we're doing on Tuesday, and it was like a week and a half of campaigning of Leave It Blank New York campaign, and that it worked. I mean, it showed a huge. What was the other state that voted uncommitted? Was it Michigan or Minnesota?
Michigan, Michigan. Sorry.
Michigan.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see some weird activity during this upcoming election, because I think people are gonna try to think outside the box to
can't wait
get what they want on there. Like I think people are going to go to vote against this, but I also think that they have a lot of Senate seats or whatever that are going to be unopposed. So they have to figure out like, how do I say no to this thing but not have to fill out the rest of this bubble sheet or whatever. And each state's going to be different. It's going to be a pain in the ass. We're going to be talking about this election in next June.
Oh, great. Yeah. We're getting used
Well,
to
if
that.
you want to talk about this election next June, make sure to join us here on the Left Wing. We'll be covering it the whole time. That's our plug. Thank you, everyone, and good night. Ryan, let's do our bumper before we totally forget about it.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. This is I feel like this is cool for like our audience that like gets to see just the behind the scenes how the
these little cut moments, yeah.
Exactly. All right. So narrator saying good night. Good night, narrator. All right. All right, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, because I'm sure you already did that, and I'm sure you also like this too. You're a great listener, great viewer of The Left Wing. And if you are one of our amazing audience members that we respect very, very much, I am sure you loved our guest today and want to know where you can find him. So, Ryan, how about you tell our audience where they can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me basically everywhere under IDEF Overthink. That's IDEFF Overthink. So @ and think of a place except for X, and I'm probably there. That's the only one that I don't have.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm TJ Whitehead. Power is taken, not given. Now, and joining you from the fascist dictatorship of New Mexico. Please join the New Mexico National Guard Service Guarantees membership. I can't even get the line right. Service Guarantees Citizenship. Have a good night. We appreciate you all.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get out of here. All right. There you go.